first things first, let's just get it out of the way. I want your review culture. Give me your review.
Okay.
And then me and Nick are going to
fine.
Questions.
Give me your review. Over to you. Review it like you would on your own channel. Give me the review.
Okay.
Of Barbie.
All right. So I went and saw the film. Going in it was going to be an experience because it was a party event. So it was more than a film, it was an event. So they hosted a group of people. They had discounted drinks, free drinks, discounted food, free food. They had
Go ahead. Girly drinks.
You could get girly drinks. I actually just had iced tea. I'm not a big, I don't drink and then get in a vehicle and I'm very
good.
Yeah. But no, so I got my iced tea. I skipped all the little garbage food that they have there. They actually have good food there as well, but I didn't have time to do that. They were giving away posters and buttons and all of that. So it was an event. And then I guess in a lot of the bigger theater complexes, they put up a Barbie doll box that you can get your picture taken in. Right, because they've done stuff like that with Shrek and things like that. But
please tell me you did that culture.
Of course I did. Yeah, it's in my video review. Yeah, you can get a picture of me in the box. The unadulterated picture, I think Grant controls right now, so that's not good for me. But okay. So speaking about the film itself, so I saw it in the biggest possible theater that was available for this particular event. The seats were very comfortable. So I'm describing the best part of this, by the way. The seat in the theater was so good; it reclined all the way back. It was very cushy, and like if you were bored, you'd be out like a light. This is like go take a nap, better than the recliner at your house kind of a seat. Plenty of room, leg room, plenty of wonderful sound and everything else. And that's one of the things that I appreciate about a good theater experience is the audio. So all of that aside, that was the best part of the film. Now we get into the film itself. This started out exactly like the first teaser trailer that you saw. So you've already seen kind of the beginning of the film. It's the 2001 A Space Odyssey, throwing the bone up in the air, all that. Except it's very differently done. It takes elements of that and it mixes it with this idea that women have been oppressed forever, especially in the 50s. And that's when this doll came into being in 59. And all of the little girls, upon seeing Barbie, take their baby dolls, and their dreams of being a mother and destroy them. in their ideas of mother. So you're already starting off with the destruction of traditional life and womanhood and families and things like that. Then you move into the modern day. We get into Barbie's world. And to be fair, aesthetically, all of that is gorgeous. If you were going to pick out what Barbie's world would look like, they do a great job of that. Barbie's world is well represented. But right from the very beginning, there's a lot of superficial that they try to place on traditional Barbie or prototypical Barbie. And they do that very effectively. But in most people's eyes, that's not a bad thing. It's just that's that version of a person. They're happy with who they are. And they introduce this idea that everybody, no matter what their shade, pallor, or apparently gender makeup, that are Barbies are, all called Barbie. So like you just have like Dr. Barbie, President Barbie, Supreme Court Justice Barbie, like that. And then, of course, everybody that's getting any kind of awards, recognition, or anything in Barbie's world are women. Again, to be expected, kind of the film. So a lot of people trying to place nuance on this. They've been doing it in my comments all day about this film is satirical. No, it's not, because there is the person writing this and directing this film is not capable of writing anything that's nuanced like that. It is all incredibly ham-fisted. So when we get around to the things go terribly, terribly wrong point, Barbie's starting to break down and have malfunctions in her world. And there's a reason for that. But I don't want to gloss over the part where you also see just how incredibly stupid and superficial and brainless all the Kens are. And again, it doesn't matter what the Ken is, in particular Ryan Gosling, who's the main Ken, traditional Ken. They portray him as already from the very beginning a cuck, a simp, whatever term you want to use. Somebody who basically only exists to get a pleasing glance or a pleased glance from Barbie. That's exactly how he's portrayed. That's exactly how it's stated. And I will say this, the narration in this film is brilliantly done because, of course, it's done by Midnight's Edge's own Helen Mirren. Helen Mirren is the narrator in the film. So she does a lovely job. And then you have something go terribly wrong. Barbie's feet collapse. She gets cellulite. She has in Barbie world. So she's breaking down. So they send her to see Weird Barbie, played by the weirdest actress in Hollywood right now, Kate McKinnon. So, and she's always in a splits because in the real world, the person that owns her version of her, played with her very roughly and did all of these various things to her. You know, and that's how Barbies break.
That's the same actress from Ghostbusters 2016, right?
Kate McKinnon.
Yeah.
Then you have Weird Barbie tell her that she has to find her counterpart, the girl that's playing with her, and get her to be happy playing with Barbie again, so she goes back to normal. So then she tells her how to get to the real world, which is a whole hullabaloo, right? There's a car, then a boat, then a jet ski, a snow ski, then rollerblades when she gets to Venice Beach, California. Now, mind you, I've been to Venice Beach a lot in the last 5 years. There are no homeless people. There's no drugs everywhere. They cleaned this up specifically to film this movie, obviously. And Barbie's quite surprised that, you know, instead of women construction workers working on everything, she makes the assumption, she says, "Hi, ladies," and it's all guys. We're doing man's work because, unfortunately, there are not a lot of ladies that are doing sewer work, right? Rebuilding sewers and stuff like that. So immediately, you know, she's caught off guard. She finds things out. Ken managed to hitch a ride with her because he didn't want to be left alone without Barbie. And he wouldn't be cool, but he wouldn't be thought of as cool by the other Kens if he wasn't with Barbie. So they're together in LA. They promptly get arrested because of something that would never happen in the real world, by the way. A guy walking up behind Barbie while she's rollerblading on Venice Beach and smacking her firm in the ass. All right. So this is the entire film breakdown, guys. So then is there LGBTQ here? Yes. In fact, back in Barbie land, there is a trans person that's a doctor. You have a few Dr. Barbies. One of them is a obvious trans, but back to current. So anyway, so you get to that part of the film. They get arrested because Barbie punches the guy in the nose after she smacks his ass. And then they go to get some clothes replaced. They go into a store, also on Venice Beach. Amazing. It's like they filmed those scenes without taking a break. Yeah. But anyway, they go in there, they pull out these ridiculous cowboy outfits. So she walks out in Cowboy Barbie, he walks out in Cowboy Ken, and they didn't pay for them. So naturally they get arrested again. But the store owner thinks they look so great in the costumes or the outfits that he lets them keep them for whatever reason, because, story needs. So eventually they go and look for Barbie's owner. They find Barbie finds Barbie's owner. Ken finds the rest of the world, and he finds a bunch of books about the patriarchy.
Oh, Lord.
Horses and muscle trucks. And he learns all about the patriarchy, which means men rule the world. Okay. In that world. So he thinks it's awesome because he's really incredibly dumb. And that's what she learns. She learns about her owner. She finds out about her owner thinking it's this little girl. She goes to the school. The little girl is not her owner. She was, but the person that she was imagining, she'll find out later, is the daughter's mother, that it was actually more interested in playing with the Barbie. So she's having very negative feelings about Barbie, like insecure Barbie and all types of stuff. She's drawing it. Now, why does that matter? Okay, I'm going to back up slightly. Mattel is now aware that Barbie's in the real world.
Mattel.
That makes sense? Mattel.
The company.
It's run by Will Ferrell.
Will Ferrell,
Yeah. And they find out it's an emergency, so they send out their team. Now, the FBI advises them that Barbie's in the real world, like they didn't know. But that doesn't matter. Somehow the FBI is involved in everything nowadays, right? But anyway, so they show up at the school. They take Barbie. The mother is there to pick up the daughter. Sees that Barbie, real life Barbie, is being put into Mattel's vehicle, and then they go on a wild, a wild interaction to rescue Barbie. So they follow them to Mattel, which is actually where this lady works. Right. And do you not want this? I can stop. I can stop breaking down the film. Okay. So they make it to Mattel. They take Barbie upstairs. They try to put her in the box, which will send her back to Barbie Land. So they have a full-size box, just like the one you can get your picture taken in at the theater. And this is all. I'm serious here.
Yeah. Keep going.
Okay. And then so they put her in the box. and they try to get her wrists in the cuffs, which are like big twist ties, like how you hold the dolls in the box with the action figures.
Yeah.
And just before they're able to get them finally in, she says, "Hey, I have to go to the bathroom." So all these idiots let her leave the room alone without any of the security detail or whatever to go to the bathroom. Except she doesn't go to the bathroom. She hauls ass to try to get out of there because she knows the gig is up. So then, in the process of fleeing from them, making them look completely stupid in a very over-the-top way that isn't believable at all in a thing that they're trying to make a gritty, real-world environment, right? She finds her way to an empty room that's just a big empty whiteness, and then she keeps walking into it, and she finds herself in a kitchen. And unbeknownst to her, and we find out later in the movie, it's the creator of Barbie. Her name is Ruth. She's played by Rhea Perlman. And they have an interaction in the kitchen where, she tries to impart some knowledge about, Barbie without telling her that she's the creator of the doll, which, again, you find out later, which you already kind of assume if you know anything about the history of it. But anyway, so they hear banging around and knocking outside of this door that she came in to get into this big room. And and then she tells her that if you go through that closet, there's a stairway down to the lobby. So Barbie gets out, runs out of the building, and the mom and the daughter are sitting there in her car, and they take her away. And then in order to solve the problem and to make everything happy, once Barbie realizes the person she's been interacting with is the mother, that they have to all go back to Barbie Land to try to fix things so that she can go back to being normal. So they do exactly the reverse thing, because that's how you get back to Barbie Land. You do exactly the reverse thing of how you got there. So you rollerblade into this place, then you get in a boat, then you get on a jet ski or a snowmobile, there's like a rocket ship involved, and then like you're back on the car going back to Barbie Land. And they're all getting happier and everybody's excited. And when they arrive in Barbie Land, they realize that it's changing. The men, because Ken has come back, is now taken over, the Kens. So the Kens are now in charge of Barbie Land, and it is exactly every stereotypical bad thing that people can say about men, like monster trucks and, smoking and like a lot of like Andrew Tate-isms, right? And all of that.
Gyms, probably.
There's weights, and he's doing pull-ups. By the way, Ken is ripped. Holy crap, dude, he looks like you. He's yoked. Just yoked. But anyway, and they just kind of take over, and all the Barbies are like, well, yeah, this is great. I don't have to think. This is their words, not mine. I don't have to think, all of that. And to this point, we're probably now at about the 5 patriarchy mentions, because that starts to become a word that's said a lot and often. Eventually, the only person that's unaffected is Barbie. So, and Weird Barbie, because they've both like been abused in the real life counterparts. So moving along. I'll try to go faster. So sorry, this is the movie. So I'm trying to save you 2 hours of your life. So is
it 2 hours long?
Just under.
Fucking hell.
Yeah. So anyway, so you end up with the you end up with Barbie being and Weird Barbie being the only people that aren't affected by this. Also, there's this weird doll called Alan, I guess, and there is and Skipper makes an appearance. Yeah. And there's like this one reference to a doll that may have been released in the 60s or 70s called Sugar Daddy. I'm not kidding. That was apparently released in the Barbie line, which was the dog's name was Sugar. The older man guy was Daddy. I guess that was actually a thing. I don't know. They say that all these dolls.
Funny, to be honest.
It was one of the only few humorous things that were there. But anyway, so you had all those things, and then they formulate a plan to deprogram each of these Barbies one at a time. So they create a distraction, right? And they get one of the Barbies there, who I think was like a writer that won one of the awards in Barbie, and they deprogram her, and then they conceive of this plan to deprogram all the Barbies by tricking the men, because you have to trick men in order to reclaim your power or to take over power. And they were about to change. The Kens all wanted to change the Constitution so Kens would rule forever, and the vote was in 2 days. So by the time they had deprogrammed all the Barbies, it had taken some time, and they were able to get the Kens to become insecure and fighting with each other over the various Barbies, because they were texting back and forth trying to make them jealous. This is how simplistic this movie is, because men are dumb. And so they trick men with that. Then you have two groups of Kens that form that actually go to war. Right. So you have people coming in from the beach, like they're landing on Omaha Beach. And then you have people like the other group of Kens coming in. So, and by the way, the Kens are led by Ken and by Simu Liu Ken. right? So Ryan Gosling can, Simu Liu can, and all of that. Now, there are musical elements throughout this that I have not described. I will say that this is the one really cool musical element that was good in this that would fit in a Broadway production. The Kens, the Battle of the Kens, becomes this like dance contest. But you cannot escape the overtly sexualized anything between any of these Kens. Like they all love each other, but not. I mean, it's not overt, and you can't get away from the fact that you know there's a lot of tension there, which makes no sense. Regardless, they end up figuring out after the battle and this dance battle that, oh my gosh, today we were supposed to vote on the Constitution. So guess what? I bet you know the Barbies were all in there voting on the Constitution to change Barbie Land back to Barbie Land and all of that. So all in all, this was a very bad move for Mattel. Just so you know, the Mattel guys, by the way, show up after Barbie Land returns to normal and Will Ferrell's there because they've been chasing down Barbie into Barbie Land. They resolved everything, and they head back home. Barbie has a decision to make at that point because the ghost of Ruth, we finally find out that this is the creator, comes and talks to Barbie and then takes her back to her white space, right, this empty space, and has her decide whether or not to become human, which she does. And so she returns to the real world, obviously living with the daughter, the mother, and the really idiotic portrayal of a man again, by the way, the father, who didn't notice they were missing for a few days, I guess. But anyway, they return to what you assume is the front of the Mattel building, and she's getting a job, obviously working for Mattel. But no, that's not it. The final joke is they took her to her gynecology appointment.
You gotta be kidding.
Okay, so give me a score out of 10 for this movie. Your
3.
review. 3 out of 10. Okay, cool.
And, and it's going down. That's going to go because it started at 3.5. By the time I recorded my review, it was at 3. It's going downward. It's descending.
All right. So that's your review. Summary.
Well, that's my description. My review is they said patriarchy no less than 10 times. Towards the end of the movie, during the deprogramming segment, there was a 4-minute feminist lecture that came out of some freaking college professor's like classroom at like freaking Butt Puppet U. I was really very unhappy about this film, and I felt bad for all the women that brought their daughters to that film because they should feel and should have and probably did feel a deep amount of shame for the amount of hate that was put on men throughout this film. At every opportunity, they took what could possibly be the worst male stereotype and they reinforced it in the most ridiculous way.
So they didn't show like a man who goes and works every day and takes care of his family and his wife and his like normal. They just showed stereotypical stuff only.
Oh, yeah, it was terrible. And not only that, even on the redemption arc for both Barbie and Ken, which they did try to have. By the way, everything in this story is superficial. The showing parts, the aspects where the cinematography and the set design and all that's beautiful. Costumes, spot on. Everything about this gives you that aesthetic. At the same time, everything about the story is tell, don't show. You know what I mean? So there's no true storytelling. Go ahead.
Would you compare it? What would you compare the portrayal of men to in another like for like movie or series?
I don't know that there is one. This is the worst I've ever seen.
Really, the worst you've ever seen? I mean, I know there has to be a worst you've ever seen, but really, this is the worst you've ever seen.
Ray said it was the best she's ever seen.
I think so. I think that this is so hateful to men. This is like they took Fight Club and every bad element of Fight Club with the masculinity that's in that, and they turned that into the most toxic, overrepresented, hyperbolic take.
It's a shame because I mean, look, hey, it's a Barbie movie. Of course, it's going to be women.
2016 Ghostbusters. Somebody in the chat said that.
Okay, but it's a shame because this could have been the Barbie version of the Lego movie. Like it could have been that. It's weird that I find that very bizarre that so the villain is the patriarchy and is Ken. Ken's the villain then. That's a big false advertisement, isn't it?
Well, I mean, they want you to think it might be Mattel that's the villain, right? But
they frame it in the
but at the same time, I mean, here's the thing. Mattel can't be happy about this right? Because if this gets a Bud Light effect, which it very possibly could, there are a lot of ladies reacting incredibly negatively to this film. But if this gets a Bud Light effect, this could hurt them. I've said this before. I mean, you're looking at over $5 billion in revenue per year for Mattel. 1/3 of all that revenue comes out of the Barbie division. 1/3 of $5 billion. So if they take a 20 to 25% hit, let's just say 20% hit from that split, that 1/3 revenue, they're going to lose over $400 million. Can you imagine? Yeah. I mean, and think about the stock price. And not only that, I mean, She-Hulk would be a good one to compare it to if it's a TV show. A lot of people are giving great suggestions. Wonder Woman 1984, it has similar vibes, but this is more man-hating. This is again, just from the patriarchy stuff. They make Ken incredibly weak. They make Ken incredibly weak, despite his physical stature.
So I'm guessing he's like super
physically
beta,
weak,
super beta male.
Yeah, they make him weak in that. Yeah, not physically weak, but in his level of humanity, and the fact that he didn't want to lead. Actually, he was fine being a beta. I mean, that's the end. At the end, that's the message being conveyed, and the message being conveyed to young women is, you know what? You don't want to be a mother. You don't want anything to do with traditional stuff. You don't want to be tied down to anybody. You want it almost went to the point where I was thinking, wow, when are they going to tell you to have your own OnlyFans account? When are we going to get to that?
Yeah.
I was like, good Lord.
Stay home, be single, don't get in a committed relationship, get married and have kids.
Yeah, that's really what it is. Yeah. I mean, it is that messaging. It is pure intersectional wet dream time. And I couldn't believe they were doing it, because I actually thought,
I'll behave. Do you mean you couldn't believe it? I can believe it all the time when they do this.
Maybe
I roll my eyes and go,
especially nowadays.
but maybe they were going to try to subvert my expectations like they do in every other way. I expected this film.
They did, didn't they? Because you watched the trailers and expected something different.
No, I expected it to be woke AF. That's why I did that video, that it's going to flop, and it may not flop. It may have a good.
It'll have a big opening weekend, and then
and it's already proving out to be that. But for the life of me, I could not believe. I counted, because Christian Toto had said that there were a ton of in his review, he said there were a ton of the times they say the patriarchy. I'm like, okay, I need to know how many that is. And it was over 10. And wow. They stop so many times. They interrupt the flow of it for messaging. They interrupt the flow of the film to give you a mini lecture or teach a lesson or whatever throughout that. And, but the mother's bad thing was the thing that bothered me, because it just kept doing that. I mean, all men are bad. Doesn't matter if you're a father or not, but mothers are bad to a certain extent. I mean, the only positive mother redemption there was between the mother and the daughter in the film. And that felt actually superficial. It felt superfluous. Oh, by the way, throughout this film, Kens are irrelevant. Kens are irrelevant. They actually say it. In fact, the word I just used, superfluous, Barbie actually calls Ken superfluous on their way back to Barbie Land.
Wow.
The CEO of Mattel, Will Ferrell, calls him, we don't care about Ken. He doesn't matter.
Okay. So, right. Review,